Before the Zulus, before the Ethiopians at Adwa, one African general did the unthinkable. He crushed a European empire at the height of its power. They came with gunpowder, gold lust, and missionaries, but what they found was Changamire Dombo, a cattle herder turned warlord, a master strategist, a kingmaker. This is his story. In the 16th century, the Mutapa Kingdom ruled over a land rich in gold, so rich it caught the eye of the Portuguese, fresh off their conquests in Asia and East Africa. An ambitious Portuguese priest journeyed deep into the interior, to the heart of the Mutapa Kingdom, driven by a mission to convert its ruler, King Mpuzagutu, to Christianity. But his holy mission ended in blood. Warned by his Swahili courtiers who had witnessed firsthand the Portuguese bombardments of Kilwa, Mombasa, and Mozambique, the king refused conversion and had the priest executed. Portugal responded with fury, launching a 1,000-man invasion, larger than the force that conquered the Inca Empire. But the mission wasn't just revenge. It was a pretext to seize Mutapa's gold mines and the rumored hidden stores of silver buried deep in the kingdom's hills. The Portuguese force pushed as far as Sena, but stalled near Maravi territory. Though they won a pitched battle, their spoils were meager, just a few cattle. Multiple Portuguese invasions failed. Frustrated, they settled instead in Tete and Sena, forced to pay annual tribute to Mutapa. But in March 1629, that balance shattered. Under humiliating treaty terms, Mutapa became a Portuguese colony. Traders and missionaries were exempt from taxes and gained exclusive control over all gold and potential silver mines. Enter Changamire Dombo, a cattle baron under the Mutapa crown. But Dombo was no mere vassal. In the 1670s, he used his wealth to build something far more dangerous. A loyal army and an independent power base. He studied the land, its defenses, its farmland, and its enemies. While others craved European muskets, Dombo doubled down on archers and agility. He founded the Rozvi Empire, a force that would come to dominate the plateau, stretching into present-day Zimbabwe, Botswana, and South Africa. Just before June 1684, Changamire Dombo faced the Portuguese in his first major clash, the Battle of Maungwe. On one side, Rozvi warriors armed with bows, spears, and unshakable resolve. On the other, Portuguese muskets, gunpowder, and the arrogance of the empire. Tradition met technology. The battlefield erupted in a day-long storm of chaos. Dombo's forces routed the Portuguese 4, even 5 times, but paid dearly. Gunfire tore through his ranks. The price of defiance was blood. Night fell. Both armies camped on the field, bracing for another round at dawn. But Dombo had other plans. At 1 a.m., flames flickered on every side. Fires lit by Rozvi women, under Dombo's command, encircled the enemy. Panic spread. The Portuguese and their African allies, believing they were surrounded, fled into the darkness. Weapons, supplies, and pride abandoned. At sunrise, the battlefield was silent. Dombo's army seized their firearms and trade goods. He did not pursue. His losses were steep. And to the north, a new threat loomed. A Mutapa force, backed by yet more Portuguese, had invaded Butua, a land Dombo had already claimed. But the message was clear. The age of Portuguese conquest would not go unchallenged. But the war wasn't over. In 1692, the Portuguese backed a puppet ruler in Mutapa. The rightful heir turned to Dombo. What followed was devastation. In 1693, Dombo's forces destroyed Portuguese settlements. In 1695, they burned Manica to the ground. Refugees fled. Priests wept. The Rozvi stood unchallenged. Twice in the 1700s, the Rozvi deposed Portuguese-backed kings. The colonial dream of controlling that corner of Africa was in ruins. Under Dombo, the Rozvi Empire expanded rapidly. It was well organized, economically sound, and militarily formidable. Chiefs paid tribute, rivals backed down. Even European missionaries were kept in check. No foreign power would dictate Rozvi's succession or faith. By 1760, Portugal formally pulled out of Mutapa's politics, their ambitions halted by the arrow and the will of an African general. Changamire Dombo didn't just repel an empire, he birthed one. A kingdom forged by vision, strategy, and resistance. In the 1690s, Dombo's crushing defeat of Portuguese forces and the destruction of their settlements marked the greatest loss of European life in an African war, until the Italians fell at Adwa 2 centuries later. And though his name is not in most history books, in the lands he once ruled, the legend of Dombo still burns. The man who broke the musket with the bow.